Men are taught that attraction is something you earn, that if you show enough interest, put in enough effort, and chase hard enough, eventually she'll feel something back. But the reality is uncomfortable. The men women feel most drawn to are often the ones who don't chase at all. Not because they are indifferent, not because they play games, but because they operate from a psychological position. Most men never reach. In this video, we'll explore why chasing quietly kills attraction, why emotional distance can create desire, and why the man who stops pursuing often becomes the one who is pursued. Attraction is often misunderstood as interest. Men believe that if they show more enthusiasm, more attention, more emotional investment, they will increase desire. But attraction doesn't grow from interest. It grows from emotional polarity. What draws a woman in is not how much you want her, but how grounded you remain without her. A man who is deeply interested, yet emotionally centered, creates tension. A man who is deeply interested, but emotionally dependent, creates pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction. This is why calm men feel different. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't over-explain their intentions. They don't constantly check whether they're being liked. Their nervous system is settled, and that calm communicates something powerful. I am not seeking completion from you. Psychologically, this signals safety, not the comfort of predictability, but the safety of stability, because a man who doesn't need approval is a man who is not ruled by fear, and fear is the opposite of desire. This is where many men get confused. They mistake emotional restraint for emotional distance. They think non-chasing means being cold. It doesn't. The difference is subtle but crucial. A non-chasing man is present, but not attached to outcomes. He expresses interest, but doesn't negotiate for validation. And that emotional independence creates the very space where attraction can grow, because desire needs room to move. Attraction doesn't respond to words, it responds to positioning. And one of the most powerful forces shaping attraction is something rarely spoken about: value asymmetry. In every interaction, one person is perceived, often unconsciously, as having slightly more emotional leverage, not because they are better, but because they need less. When a man chases, he unknowingly signals something important. You matter more to me than I matter to myself. This immediately creates imbalance. The more he pursues, the more he frames her as the prize, and himself as the one seeking approval. And attraction doesn't flow upward. Psychologically, humans are drawn toward what appears self-contained, what feels whole without them. This is why the man who doesn't chase is often perceived as higher value even if nothing about his external life has changed. He isn't proving himself. He isn't auditioning. He is simply unmoved. And that stillness is misinterpreted, not as lack of interest, but as internal abundance. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Chasing doesn't communicate desire. It communicates scarcity. Scarcity of options. Scarcity of confidence. Scarcity of emotional grounding. And scarcity collapses polarity. The man who holds his center, who doesn't rush to close distance, creates a psychological gap, and the mind is magnetically drawn to closing gaps it doesn't control. This is why attraction often increases the moment a man pulls back, not out of strategy, but out of self-alignment, because value isn't declared, it's inferred, and the one who can walk away emotionally intact is always perceived as the one with leverage. Masculinity, at its core, is not about dominance. It's about direction. A masculine presence moves from an inner center, not toward external validation. This is why non-chasing feels instinctively masculine. A man who doesn't chase is a man whose emotional state is not dictated by someone else's reactions. He doesn't speed up when interest is uncertain. He doesn't shrink when attention pulls away. He doesn't abandon his rhythm to regain approval. Psychologically, this signals leadership, not leadership over others, but leadership over himself. And that self-leadership is deeply attractive because it communicates, I know where I'm going, with or without you. This is also why calm men slow the room. They don't react impulsively. They don't overcorrect. They don't seek control through effort. Instead, they allow. And allowing creates polarity. Here's where many men get it wrong. They think masculinity means emotional suppression, distance, detachment. But true non-chasing isn't emotional absence. It's emotional containment, the ability to feel without immediately discharging those feelings outward. A man who can hold desire without acting from it is perceived as powerful because restraint implies choice, and choice implies strength. This is why women often describe such men as grounded, mysterious, or different, even when they can't articulate why. What they're sensing is a man who hasn't handed over his emotional axis, a man who remains oriented toward his own life, his own direction, his own inner order. And from a psychological standpoint, nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't abandon himself to be chosen. Chasing doesn't begin with desire. It begins with fear. The fear of losing momentum, the fear of silence, the fear that if you don't act now, you'll be forgotten. Chasing feels safe because it feels active. You're doing something. You're reducing uncertainty. You're trying to secure an outcome, but psychologically, this safety is an illusion because every act of chasing quietly communicates one thing: I don't trust that I'm enough without effort. And that message is felt, even when it's never spoken. When a man chases, he removes the unknown. He explains too much. He fills every gap. He eliminates tension before it can mature. And attraction requires tension, not anxiety, not games, but space. Space allows curiosity to form. Silence allows imagination to work. Distance allows desire to move forward on its own. This is why chasing so often produces the opposite of its intention. The more certainty you try to force, the less organic attraction remains. And beneath it all is a deeper fear many men never question: the fear of being replaceable. Chasing becomes a way to say, choose me, notice me, confirm my value. But attraction doesn't respond to please. It responds to presence. A man who doesn't chase is not avoiding connection. He's trusting something far more powerful. That what is aligned does not need to be chased. And the moment a man releases the fear of loss, he paradoxically becomes someone others don't want to lose. Non-chasing is often misunderstood because it's invisible. There's no dramatic withdrawal, no calculated silence, no strategy. It's not something you do. It's something you are. A non-chasing man still initiates. He still expresses interest. He still moves things forward. But he does so without urgency. He doesn't escalate to secure outcomes. He escalates from alignment. If interest is returned, he continues. If it isn't, he doesn't push. He simply redirects his energy back to his life. This is the difference. Non-chasing means you don't overinvest before connection is mutual. You don't double text to repair uncertainty. You don't explain your worth. You don't negotiate desire. You allow silence without filling it with anxiety. You allow distance without interpreting it as rejection, because your sense of self does not depend on her response. And this is what changes everything. A man who remains emotionally intact, regardless of outcome, becomes unpredictable in a good way. Not chaotic, but self-directed. He's not pulled off center by attraction. He doesn't abandon his path to be chosen. And that self-orientation is what allows attraction to meet him halfway, because desire cannot grow towards someone who is already leaning in too far. Non-chasing is not passive. It's selective. It's choosing resonance over reassurance, alignment over attachment, depth over urgency. And when a man lives this way, attraction stops being something he pursues and becomes something that responds. Here is what most men never want to hear. Women don't lose attraction because a man doesn't try hard enough. They lose attraction when a man tries to secure an outcome, because the moment you chase certainty, you reveal that you don't trust your own position, and attraction cannot survive where self-trust is absent. This is why effort alone has never been enough. You can be attentive, you can be kind, you can be consistent, and still feel invisible. Because attraction doesn't respond to behavior, it responds to emotional positioning. When you chase, you step out of polarity. You place her at the center and remove yourself from your own. And the dynamic shifts from desire to responsibility, from curiosity to emotional burden. Here is the deeper truth. The men women remain drawn to are not the ones who need to be chosen. They are the ones who would be fine either way, not indifferent, not detached, but whole. And that wholeness is what creates gravity. Because when a man doesn't abandon himself to be wanted, he becomes someone others don't want to lose. Attraction was never about effort. It was about orientation. The men who don't chase aren't withholding themselves from connection. They're rooted in something deeper than reaction. They move from direction, not from fear. And that's what makes them magnetic. Because when a man no longer needs to be chosen, he stops negotiating his worth. He stops collapsing toward desire. And in that stillness, something shifts. Attraction no longer feels forced. It no longer feels fragile. It begins to move on its own. If this resonated with you, take it with you. Not as a tactic, but as a lens. And remember, the moment you stop chasing attraction finally has space to find you.